Y'all, a new trailer just dropped and I'm excited. I hope that you are, because we're getting more cards very soon. And so this video really is just everything that we've missed from the trailer. While yes, it's like 49 seconds. However, there are things from the official websites, things that are like posted up on Cerebi, and like even just kind of like the Pokemon cards. What do they do? We're gonna talk about all of that stuff right here. And all the things that's to come. So let's get into it. And before we get into things, y'all, only about 6% of you who are watching are subscribed. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell button if you're enjoying the content, because we're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the month. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into it. First and foremost, bam, it's called SpaceTime Smackdown, which we saw. We know that this is featuring two packs here. It's going to be available Wednesday, January 29th. In similar fashion to when we got Mythical Island, this is typically set to when that rollover time in the morning is. So for me, on the like Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast side of things, this was looking to be released that Wednesday at 1 a.m., which kind of probably falls in line to the Japanese timeline of the 30th because of how time zones and things like that work. So as you know, we're gonna have these two featured cards here, Dialga EX and Palkia EX, available for us from each of the packs. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these two cards are you most excited for. So let's talk here. This is like from their press.pokemon.com, which is awesome, but they essentially kind of like sum up the things that we saw. One of the pieces here is that they're talking about their new trade feature, which we knew was going to be Diamond of 1/4 to 1 star, which is great. However, we now get a fun view, or not a fun necessarily, but an actual peek at what this actually looks like in terms of currencies, and that was plural, exactly of what's needed. And then they included in like their description for the new SpaceTime Smackdown expansion, obviously cards that we saw like Dialga and Palkia, the starters, which is your Turtok, Chimchar, and Piplup, but they also put in there that we'll see fan favorite Pokemon Lucario. So there's a card already drafted up that we missed out in the trailer that we'll review together as well. And then we also get some new binder and display board covers featuring some legendary Pokemon and some mythical Pokemon, y'all. So let's go ahead and check those out. So here is the screenshot of the binder, which is like pretty cool. So we have Palkia here, we have Dialga up here, and then we have our Darkrai. I mean, we already know that these two are EXs, so I wonder if this being in this kind of like binder screenshot, that we got another look at this card right here, Darkrai being an EX and also being available right away in the beginning because we have the binder. Hopefully that can be the case. And then Lucario is also they're showing off here, and we're going to take a second look at what that looks like. So here is the Lucario, y'all. That is a beautiful full art, and it has the fighting type Pokemon in it, and I wonder, is this a nod to Medicham and a nod to Hitmontop? I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if they gave us like a little sneak that these were in there as well. But the ability for this Lucario is Fighting Coach. Attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. We'll talk about like all the pairings that can go off of this, but however, thinking about like Machamp EX that does 120, you have a Lucario on your bench that does 140, and you have a Giovanni, you knock out a Mewtwo. Hello. The one thing that this doesn't work for is Hitmonlee, because Hitmonlee again specifies bench Pokemon. So this is Lucario is like a Pokemon, a Giovanni, but for Pokemon, and it don't stack, y'all. It don't stack, right? Like Superior says, this effect does not stack. It says that in the wording, and because Lucario does not say that in its wording, this is a stage 1 mon, meaning that you only need to find Riolu, stack this up, put on the other side of your bench, stack that up, and you're just hitting, hitting cards. So that was really cool. For this part, we have like our trade feature screenshot. As you can see, that says trade 3. So we're gonna actually talk through the other screenshots that we were able to get from this as well. But we saw a little bit of this in the trailer. There is genetic genetic Apex Raichu, Mythical Island Toro, so you'll be able to switch them around and get that. Now this is where like the fun part comes in, because here is currency number 1, here's currency number 2, and it kind of looks like these green are like the hourglasses, similar to like how we've been getting, where they could possibly refresh every 12 hours. That seems to be the typical trend for this. We've done that for Wonder Glasses, Pack Hourglasses, the event drops for you to be able to battle the AI, and in that similar fashion of where there's 5 of them here, and then it kind of like does a little circle thing and loads up. You know, we can't take much from the screenshot, but from 3 diamonds you have 1, and then you have this currency, this like trade token here, which says 120. So who knows? Maybe 1 diamond means it's 40, and then 80, then 120. You also can have it look like where is like your pack points, where like the numbers are all over the place as well too. So we don't know how much or how often or how easy it is going to be able to get these. Here's a closer look at like what the trade hourglass looks like, and then here is a closer look as to what the trade token looks like as well. Once again, we don't know how we get these or how we're going to be able to earn them, but just even being able to see them in action is pretty cool, and it just means another currency that we have to get, but that also then dictates of like how often are you really engaging with it, right? You could be a free-to-play player who is now looking to complete your set, and now you have another freer way of getting that. Your trade tokens are, it takes time, obviously, right? Like that's the part that you're giving up here, but if we get a good and an easy way to get the other currency, like this currency right here, and then it feels pretty good, because now you get to be able to complete your genetic Apex and your mythical islands, and we've seen that those are the cards that are meta, so to speak. And then with the new cards that are releasing, they are obviously going to create new decks, but also enhance the older decks. There's really nothing wrong with saying, how do I make Gyarados EX better? How do I make Charizard better? How do I make Celebi better? And being able to get those cards through this system and then focus solely just on your SpaceTme Smackdown, I feel that's pretty good. I think that's really fair. So now let's take a look at all of the Pokemon that was shown off so far. I do have to give a shout out to Pokegirl Lauren here. They tweeted this out and said, if anyone was obsessed like me and trying to see what card came out the Dialga pack, it was Shinx with 60 HP. That's crazy. They were able to slow it down and say that this is Shinx right here, 60 HP electrotyping. So there we go. Shinx is like confirmed. There you go. You have your Shinxo and your Luxray confirmed to be in there, as well as we see has been opened up. The fact that she was able to find that is hilarious. So here are the cards. Let's go ahead and like take a look as to like what all of these do, read out their categories, and get into it. We saw the Lucario. I thought fighting got support before, but this definitely puts it on top. There's no way that you don't run Lucario with your fighting decks moving forward. That's just kind of like what it feels like, because why would you give up free damage? Because Lucario can sit on the bench, and the ability can also stack. We'll have to see if the Riolu can survive. So that way you have enough time to put this Lucario up, but you make your deck work around whatever you gotta make it work around for getting this ability to pop off. For those of you who haven't seen it, you have Dialga EX here. Take 2 Seal Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. It's one of your bench Pokemon, not one of your Steel bench Pokemon, and therefore Dialga can be more flexible. We're talking ramp here, not only for the Steel typing, which makes Metal awesome, but also just for any kind of colorless that takes a lot of it. Tauros EX is like one that pops up in my head that makes this feel so great. And you can also power up yourself, so you get up to 2, power up your Dialga that's sitting on the bench as well. You get that 100 impact, you retreat before they knock you out, and you start attacking right away. Palkia is a really interesting one as well. It is very clear that like, hey, they made this card with Misty in mind, but however, it could serve to do well as like a tank for the water just builds in general, because you are able to attack for 30, right? So like generally right now, let's say you're playing Gyarados, you have your Judgedon out there, but Hitmonlee just has to go pass the Judgeon to attack your Magikarp and your Froakies in the back. However, if you have this big old thing, Palkia EX up front, then it's kind of like you take those things out in the back. I'm just going to focus on building up my Palkia because that 150 damage, it's pretty good. There's not a lot of mons that can survive that, so definitely looking at a great finisher here. Turtwig seems to be following along the grass pattern here of having 2 energy for an attack, and so we're going to see how the rest of the evolves go, but this is looking pretty cute. I really like the art here. All right, up next we have the Chimchar, which is like your typical like fire starter. We have the 1 energy scratch for 20 damage, 60 HP. This feels pretty like on par with a Charmander for that effect as well, but Charmander had like 30, but you discard it, so I think 20 is a good baseline to start off with. And then Piplup, oh my gosh. I'm so excited for this line. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna figure out ways to make this work all the time. It's gonna be my new pet deck. My current pet deck is Blastoise, and now we have this. I'm excited. And so heal 20 damage from this Pokemon, so that's pretty sweet to be able to kind of like get your health back up a little bit. Maybe tackle this with some potion, keep it alive until you hit your stage 1. You're obviously not really doing a lot of damage to this thing, or like it's not putting out damage, but it has a sustain ability, so we'll do that. I put quotes because 20 damage is not a lot. Here are the fun cards, alright? Shout out to Poketone for these screenshots. Alright, Cynthia, during this turn, attacks used by your Garchomp or Togekiss do plus 50 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Woo-wee! So we have to notice a couple of things here. I wonder if Garchomp or Togekiss will be EX because of this like Cynthia supporter card. Typically EX has like higher damaging attacks, and so with the plus 50 on top of it could prove to be a lot, but who knows? Who knows? I think a good range for it to be, if it's like a normal like basic mon, 80 plus this to hit to plus 50 to do 130 allows you to knock out Pikachu, allows you to knock out Mew, EX, Celebi EX. I feel like 130 is a good break point to have against those higher EX mons. And then if this is an EX, then maybe it's like 100, so that way it dealing 150 is still in line with some of the other cards that we have. This feels like some of our basic EX mons that deal that high are single stage, so like you don't have to find pieces. So these being stage 2s, you know, you have your Gibble, your Gabite, and your Garchomp. You know, you have your Togepi, Togetic, Togekiss. There's a lot of pieces to find, so I feel like having 100 damage up to 150 because you have to draw the stage 2s is more than fair. But other than that, it's full Cynthia's cracked. I'm so excited. And then speaking of the cards, you have Gibble here. 1 energy, no, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, but the fact that it's 1 energy is pretty sweet. Just to show off some of like the cards in the TCG, like standard TCG right now, Garchomp is typically a dragon like here, but it uses fighting energy and water energy in order to be able to do that. So having this be in like Greninja fighting decks as like another finisher could be pretty sweet. Now Pachirisu EX is like pretty dope because it introduces a new mechanic. So if this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached, this attack does 40 more damage. For those of you who are familiar with the standard TCG, please let me know of how these Pokemon tools work. But Pokemon tools being a new mechanic, a new game piece, a new addition to the decks is pretty sweet. And now again, we're starting to see this 20 card deck now needing a lot more decision when you're building them, because you have now more of these EXs, you have these supporters that you want to use, and now you have an additional Pokemon tool to think about as well. But being able to do 80 damage for 2 energy because you have a Poke Tool seems pretty good. And in my head, a Poke Tool allows you to do more, either more damage, lower retreat costs, or like things like that. So having something on top of that to also add to the effectiveness could be pretty sweet. Up next is Leafeon, a 90 HP, evolves from Eevee during the next turn. This Pokemon can't what? We know that it's a grass type, so its weakness is fire. Usually if it says like this Pokemon can't, it might be this Pokemon can't attack next turn. Could be like a guess here. Let me know if you have seen something otherwise. But dealing 90 damage for 2 energy is pretty high, right? We have our baseline, it's a Starmie EX, where like that deals 90 for 2, but it's an EX mon, so when that gets knocked out, you lose 2 points. We also see 90 for 2 with Ninetales. However, you are discarding an energy every single turn to use that. Therefore, you're not able to really build up anything else in terms of energy that you have out there. So there is a lot of cost to this high damaging for lower energy, and this feels like this Pokemon can't attack next turn could fit that bill. Honchkrow skill dive does 50 damage to one of your opponents. This is a stage 1 mon, so like who knows how much energy this could take. We have Lumineon that does that for 2, and maybe because it's a stage 1, it deals Lumineon does 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's kind of like the template that we have, so Honchkrow could be the same, but it's for dark type, and like that's okay. That's definitely okay. Give the other typings ways to differentiate the way that they attack, because some of these skills of being able to attack your bench are not everywhere. It's in fighting, it's in like with Hitmonlee, and in electric with Electabuzz, in water with Lumineon, and in fire with Volcrona. But like the other mons or other typings can definitely get that, and so I like this here. We have Cresselia, 110 HP. Moonlight Gain does 50 damage while also being able to heal 20 damage. You do need 2 energy to attack, but this is insane. This is such a great tank and a great addition to the Psychic decks, because like why not? You have a tank here, it can attack, and then if you're using it as like a wall, that still gives you enough time to find your Gardevoir, which is going to enable your Mewtwo EX, and here we go again, Mewtwo EX getting support. But that's just what we've seen from the trailers. I know that's typically kind of like, if it's obvious, just do it. So like that's probably going to be the flow of this card to start, but very interesting to see this work for the other Psychic decks that just need more time to flourish. Something similar to like Florges, who's a stage 2 Pokemon right now in Mythical Island, that like is pretty sweet because that deals 80 and heals 20, but it's a stage 2 mon, and then therefore you're getting sustained from all your Pokemon. So let me know, what card are you excited about seeing? What card are you excited to play with? I can't wait to actually get my hands to start brewing with the Lucario and just seeing what fighting decks get to do, but also I'm excited to see the Garchomp and just kind of what the energies are needed for that one to kind of play around with that. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. As always, hit the like button, subscribe, click the notification bell button so you do not miss out on a thing, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.